Hey guys, welcome back to Paper Made Me Do It. I'm going to be doing a double spread today in my Hobonichi Cousin Avec. This is what I'm using for 2020 for my daily journaling and memory keeping. So I'm just going in first with one of my Schmincke watercolor palettes to just lay down some messy color on the page for a background. I ended up plopping down some color on both of these pages, drying it with my embossing craft gun, like a little heat dryer. And I actually did 4 pages, just so I'll be a couple pages ahead. So that's what it looks like dried. And then I'm going in with a little cutout from one of those inserts that Hobonichi sends with their products. The cute little girl holding her Hobonichi planner. And I'm covering up the back end of a staple that I had used on the previous page by doing that. I'm going in with a Y Studio fountain pen with a fine nib. It has Noodler's black ink in it, which is an archival waterproof ink. And I'm just doing kind of a messy border here. And I'll end up doubling back around it. This is a real quick and easy but cute border that I first saw Courtney Diaz with Little Raven Ink do. Gosh, a long time ago when I first started watching her channel. So you just go in after you have your double messy lines and complete it by making some little hash marks and then alternating, coloring in the marks and leaving them blank. So it actually looks cuter if the lines are not perfectly drawn. I go in at the end of the video and complete that border. So you'll see what I'm talking about at the end. This is my little Japanese tearaway calendar that I received in a subscription box from the Stationery Selection. So I'm just going in with the 10th, which was yesterday. It was a Friday. Just putting some glue stick on the back and tacking it down. And then the next little cutout that I have came from that same Stationery Selection subscription box. This is on the front of each pamphlet that comes with the box. It has the description of the products included on the back. And I do not know how to read the Japanese language, so I have my fingers and toes crossed that I'm gluing that down right. For all I know, it could be upside down. Hopefully it isn't. So now I'm going in with a Sharpie brush pen in purple and just hand lettering the word Friday. Just using kind of a block lettering. And this is in real time. So you can see I don't go too fast. And then I'm taking a self-inking date stamp, and I have it set to January the 10th, 2020. Just gonna stamp that down. And this next little sticker is of a black cat, and we have a black cat. Her name is Blackjack. This came from an order from Nico Neko. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but she has a stationery shop in New York, and I placed an online order with her not too long ago. So I will leave her website linked in the description below if you would like to check her out. So I'm going back in with that Y Studio fountain pen and just doing a little journaling about the day. Now for the journaling part, I did speed it up, so it's going at about twice the speed compared to real time. I was just journaling about how my husband had initially planned to take our boys to Texas after school yesterday for a hunting trip, but we ended up learning that we were having some severe weather that was going to be moving from Texas toward us, so they would have been driving right into it. So I was glad he decided to stay home last night, and they decided to leave this morning instead. So we were under severe thunderstorm warnings all night last night and tornado warnings. Fortunately, we ended up not having any damage to our property other than some, tree limbs down in the yard. But it did get pretty bad in our area. I know tornadoes touched down in at least 2 places within 40 miles of us. So we were fortunate that they didn't touch down any closer. So now I'm going in with a blue Sharpie brush pen and just using that same block print font to write bad weather. It's the first time we've had weather that bad in a good while. And I haven't been, a lot of times when I do the watercolor lettering, I like to go in and outline it after the fact, but I haven't been outlining the Sharpie brush pen lettering as often because the colors are a little bit bolder than watercolor, so the edges of the letters look pretty sharp, and there wouldn't be anything wrong with outlining it if you wanted to, but it's really just not necessary because the colors and the lettering end up being quite clear and can kind of stand alone without having to be outlined. So just completing the journaling on that page. Still writing a little bit more about the storms. Just writing tornado warning. And then my attempt at hand doodling a tornado. And then on the second half of the spread, I'm going in with a pink Sharpie brush pen and just hand lettering the word Saturday. So again, this is in real time. I did not speed it up. I'm just using a little cursive this time instead of the block print. And again, I'm not going to outline it after the fact. Now this graphic came from an old Flow magazine. I had already torn the page out and kind of put it to the side to be used at some point. And the reason why I decided to use it in this spread is that I ended up going this morning for a manicure and pedicure appointment. So as I was going through my magazine cutouts and ephemera, I saw the feet and just thought, oh, that'd be perfect for the pedicure. So I'm just going in with my Tim Holtz tonic scissors. They're the little mini snips that I like to use so much for fussy cutting, and just cutting out those cute little feet. And then with a glue stick, I decided to put them down right up to the edge of that page. So I ended up putting a pencil board down behind the right side of the spread so I can see what the edge of the page actually is. That way I was able to get right up to the very edge to glue those down. So there's my little feetsies. And I'm going back in with the little Japanese tearaway calendar and taking out the 11th for Saturday. The days of the week, weekdays anyway, are printed in black, and then the weekends are printed in color. So Saturday is printed in blue, and the numbers on Sunday are printed in red. Just using glue stick again. I just decided to tack them both down today instead of using them like tip ends, although they do work really well for that. So you can use them for layering or just secure the top with either a washi tape or a little staple and use it like a tip in. I just decided to glue them all the way down, and then I did put a strip of washi across the top. Going back to that self-inking date stamp and moving it over to January the 11th, 2020. And this also came from a Flow magazine article a while back. I had put it to the side because I really liked this quote or this statement that was within the article. I had actually put a star by it and underlined it a while back and decided to go ahead and use it in this spread instead of like writing an inspirational quote. So what the sentence that I'm kind of fussy cutting out here says is, whatever your age, set your own boundaries, follow your own style, do your own thing. And I just love that. So it's been quite a while that I've had it kind of put to the side, but I knew that I'd like to use it one day in a spread. The older I get, the truer that quote is becoming to me, so I wanted to use it. And then after I glued it down with some glue stick, I went in with the same pink Sharpie brush pen that I did the Saturday hand lettering in and just kind of outlined around the border of the cutout. So there's that. Now this is another sticker from that same sticker pack that the little black cat came in from Nico or Nico Neko in New York. I just decided to lay her down in the middle of the page. And then I'm going back in with my Y Studio fountain pen to do the journaling portion of this page. I started out talking about my plans for the morning, which did change. Initially, I had planned to get up really early and go to a Camp Gladiator class, but apparently my body needed rest because I slept completely through my alarm. So I was a little disappointed in that. I didn't make it to class, but I did get up in time to make it to my 10 o'clock appointment, which was for my manicure and pedicure. And whenever I do get a pedicure now, I've kind of gotten hooked on the paraffin pedicure. So if you've never had one, you should really give it a try. Here's a little glimpse now where he's taken that hot wax and molding it around my foot. And after it gets completely molded around the foot, they just leave it on there for several minutes until it cools down. And so it's very relaxing and moisturizing. So I'm hooked. And there's my little matching Manny. He did a good job. And so now I'm just commenting that my husband and my sons left about the same time I did this morning to drive over to Texas and go on that hunting trip. And then when I did leave the spa, I had to make a quick stop and get gas in my vehicle. And then I decided on my way home that I would stop by Starbucks, and I decided to try something new. I usually get the same one or two things on repeat, but I decided this morning to try a new latte. I think I wrote down that it was called toasted butterscotch, but I think on the label it actually said smoked butterscotch. But regardless, it was a butterscotch latte and it was delicious. There it is. Yummy. And then I'm doing a little more journaling here. On the ride home, I am a huge music buff and I have many playlists saved in my phone. But I decided on the ride home to have a little jam session, party of one, with some of the Christian music that we've been singing at church. And so the first song that I listened to, here's just a few clips of some of the lyrics. It is called Goodness of God. Such a good song. And I'll put a link in the description of the two songs that I mentioned here, just in case you want to check them out. I found them both on YouTube. So that was the first one, Goodness of God. And then the second one was called Oh, Come to the Altar. And it's another uplifting song. So these are just a couple little screenshots from the YouTube video that's like a live performance of the song. But I had a great jam session. It's kind of like singing in the shower, you know, you really belt it out when you're alone, right? So I'm just wrapping up the journaling about that, just talking about how those songs lift my spirits and put me in a good mood. And then once I got home, I'm here by myself now since my hubby and boys are on their hunting trip today. So I'm just going to be playing in my journals today and try to knock out a little housework. And then I decided to go back at the tail end and finish that border. So this is what I was talking about making little hash marks between the two lines, and then you just alternate coloring in one box and leaving the next box blank. And you could do it with any color, obviously, but I think it gives a really good impact when you do the black. I like the way that looks. So that is it for the completed spread. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.